People asked a variety of different questions through messages, direct messages, things of that nature. So I thought I would clarify a few things because people asked about the history of some of my belts. What have I handled? What choices have I made? What are good prices? Where to find them? Things like that. And so I'll take you through maybe my whole collection. I may not take the camera and take everything off the shelf, but give you a little story about everything that's here and some things that are not here. I'll start farthest to closest. So up at the top, I've got belts above the wall on these shelves. And I got these at Target. I think they were $35, $40 a piece. It's a 3-shelf unit, 2 of them. And then I turned the shelves to connect them so that it became what looks like 3 2-shelf units. There's a belt from AJsBelts, I believe is where I bought it from, $250, something like that, for the Premier World title. That's all the way over here. I have the NXT UK title. It's got the NXT logo on it. Bought it from WWE Shop, $250. It's on red leather now. It's very, very durable. Got it on, when they were closing it out. Andre, all gold, $199 or $179, whatever it was on the sale last time from Fondue. AJsBelts, that's going to be the Premier World Title version 2 in the very center of everything. I think same price, $250. I paid somebody to re-leather both of those belts, $125 for each one. It was a leather shop in Clemens, North Carolina. Keith is a great friend of mine. He's phenomenal work. Used to do guitar straps, purses, saddlebags, all kinds of things. Did those for me. Below it is the UFC title that came from eBay, probably $90. I'll let you guess what level of authenticity it has. This is a nickel Backland WWF belt from Fondue. I don't even know if they still sell those. It's on black leather that I did. It's a 10-ounce leather premium, and then the $1 Million Championship belt, of course, from WWE Shop. It was $250. That nickel Backland, by the way, was one of my favorite deals. Got paid $190, or it was right in the neighborhood of $200 for that belt. Those Backland belts, if you're paying more than $175 or $200, you're just paying too much. People that buy those belts are often, whatever the character trait is with the person who owns them, they are willing to let them go for that amount of money, at least in my experience. Behind me, I have a dual gold Andre. It's on black, it was originally on the black strap with the crocodile background. This is on my chocolate leather. I paid $229 for this during the spring sale or the winter sale, wherever I got it from Fondue. And of course, it's just as flexible as can be. This leather is phenomenal. If you wanted to roll your belt up, you could roll it up. It's that great. These belts are phenomenal. They shine. The paint job is 10 times better than the WWE belts. They don't have that logo hoard everywhere. They have a mirror finish to them. And, I mean, it doesn't get any better now. Now you may have some professional belt service re-leather your belt and dispute that with me, but I paid like $750 or $850 a square foot for that chocolate leather. Great investment. I got an Andre, Winged Eagle, Big Eagle, WCW, Fondue Big Gold. Seems like I got 5 belts out of that hide of leather. This is the antique Fondue belt with blue stones. Got it, I think, from a Facebook sale or maybe an eBay sale, but they put my name on it. And one of the flaws with the Fondue belts, or at least it used to be, is that the nameplates sometimes would discolor or tarnish. Mine has a little bit of that on it. I paid $175 for that belt. This was a $200 belt that I got from someone through Facebook Marketplace. No, I got it from a shop on eBay. The guy had the belt and the leather on the blue block belts from WWE Shop. Traditionally, that leather will crack. I assume that the way that it's painted is when it's stationary. So the more you handle those belts, they have the ripples in the leather and they crack where the paint is, because now you've separated the paint. The paint was in an area this big, and as you start to turn it, the area increases. it separates the paint, especially like in the etchings on the belt. So I re-leathered this block belt for $200 on this red leather. The red leather that I buy from Zach White's Leather is $4 a square foot, and it's a great investment. I have 1, 2, 3. I think I only have 3 things on red leather at this point because I still have several pieces of it. No, 4. I mean, fuck, I'm missing the. This is my backland. It's one of the few that I paid like full price for, but I bought a backland from Fondue's shop. Of course, I re-leathered, and then one of the things that I do when I re-leather the belts is I make sure that these are flush so that the posts are all the way in the belt. This is, once again, is just phenomenal material. You can roll it, you can do what you want to do with it. It's great. It's heavy. These belts are 4 pieces. This is a piece, a piece, a piece, and the base plate. And so it has screws for all of that stuff behind it. If you've never seen one of these taken apart, it's like a whole different thing. And I put different kinds of screws in these belts where I have the hex heads with the smoother top on them. And then for the base plate I just used the Fondue belt screws that came with it. I think Fondue sells like a batch of those. It's like 15 of them. It's like $15 or something. I bought these hex screws off of eBay, like 100 of them for $6. Heavy as can be, does everything you could want it to do. It's fucking phenomenal. I bought one of these at the same time I bought one for a friend of mine in Michigan. I think I paid $3.49 or yes, plus fees for both of them from Fondue. It was a great investment, like for our wrestling group and for our friendship. I thought that was just a great gift. He was turning 41 because I bought him a winged eagle for his 40th birthday. Over here, I think I've showed these belts in other videos. Another backland on the chocolate leather, same thing. It's just the weight of the plates doesn't hurt, but I mean the leather is just as flexible as can be. It's phenomenal. I love this stuff. The chocolate leather was probably, I think I paid $229 for the hide, but I got 5 or 6 belts out of it. I think it was $7 a square foot, $8 a square foot. That backland belt, the backup copy, the second one that I have, I paid $170 for. So retail, those belts are $350. I paid $170 for the backup. Retail, when they sold these Blue Eagle belts, I think they were $350 or something. I paid $250 for the other one I have, $200 for this one. The other fondues I have laying around right here, I have the United States title. Of course, that's got the very, very nice, it's got that newest machine that they use to stamp the leather. And the weight of the plates makes it phenomenal. I'm not ecstatic that the posts are so long they hang out of the belt, but I can live with it. You know, it's shiny. This thing is bigger than the Andre. So it's very, very heavy. It's very worth the money that I paid for it. If you're thinking about buying one, it's up to you, right? I think they are $339 or $360 now. On sale, they were $299 maybe. I got a good set of circumstances. I got that for $200. $203.30 with tax. This is my dual gold with the name and the chocolate leather. I put the silver pattern on it so that it's got more of a traditional look to it, and it's, I mean, the leather is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Very happy with that. I think that I bought that dual gold on a sale. I'm pretty sure I did. $249 maybe. I'm unclear about that. This one was $100. I got it from Facebook Marketplace. It's an all gold. It's a fondue with the screws covered, like an old school version of their belt. The crocodile backing. Of course, it's the tooled strap. Now, this older tooled strap is not as deep with the etching as the newer ones that I have, but it's fine with me. $100, right? Few of the other belts that I have in my office, I've got another stand, but I'm not going to take the phone off. Look at them. I'll carry them over here. I have a winged eagle that I've put on chocolate leather like these, and the back one before it, now it's on red. It's an extremely durable leather. It's phenomenal. I put it with the silver snaps also to give it a nice contrast. I've not yet stamped that belt or played with it, but stamping a belt, it's not a really difficult process, but I choose materials that are quite durable and they're already finished. So this is a finished, a premium leather with a lot of protection to it. So as much as I've handled this leather, it doesn't have those ripples and things that many of the WWE shop belts and those other belts will develop ripples in these areas because it's an imitation product. And so over the course of time, the layers separate. It doesn't happen with this leather. However, one of the obstacles that I would face trying to stamp it is you have to stamp through what is a finished product. And it's a lot like taking a piece of woodworking, and if the piece of woodworking was finished with polyurethane and everything done to it, and then trying to go back and work through the layers and do it in reverse. So I'm actually working against myself in those situations. But I like to have fun with my belts. I like to do a little bit of etching and a little bit of other things. This is a Big Eagle. I got this one before they discontinued it. $250. It came on the blue. And the more that I looked at my belt, the more that I had handled it, it had those ripples. The paint was separating in the toolboxes and other areas. So I moved it on to the chocolate leather. I fucking love it. I love the contrast. I love how flexible it is. I can fold it up and put it in a book bag. I can do, put this in as small of a space as I want. And the leather is super premium leather. And it's WWE shop plates. So number 2 on the scale of shine, because the fondue belts, they just shine that much brighter. It's just the difference in the fondue paint. There's no substitute for the fondue belts when it comes to the gleam and all that stuff that goes with it. Now, I attempted to play a few games and stamp these belts with a few designs in different areas and around the borders and play with it. So I had some fun with it. It's imperfect. It's not something I'm not ever going to sell any of my belts anyway, but I had fun with it. And I've taken these belts to work for photo opportunities. I've let other people hold them, take them to shows. They've been all over the place. And the more that you touch them, you'll get all these, and I don't know how much they'll show on camera, the fingerprints and things will show up on these belts. You can take a jeweler's cloth or a microfiber cloth, wipe that stuff right away, boom, 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 and back to brand new again. So I love it. And a lot of them are going to have, I don't know how much these will show up on camera again, but they'll have scuffs. Like I have scuffs in the W here where I've carried 2 belts on top of each other. I was moving from one place to another and had the belts stacked. So I don't mind that they have those scars and stories to tell, because to me it's just fine. It just is. Here is an undisputed title on what I paid. I paid $250 for that belt. I paid $285 for the Winged Eagle belt. So that's the story of that. This is an undisputed belt. I put that on Water Buffalo so that I don't have to tool it or anything. At the time I wasn't doing any stamping, but it's a beautiful material. That Water Buffalo comes in a lighter color, and the more that you put glove oil or glove butter, any kind of finishing product on there to hydrate it and so forth, it brings out the richness and makes it a little bit darker and like a dark chocolate Water Buffalo. So I love that. And once again, it doesn't ripple. It doesn't have any of those separation issues. I saw somebody recently posted up the IWGP replica. At least I believe it was like the $2,500 replica from Japan. And as little as that person's belt had been handled, it already had the ripples in it and so forth. And I thought, what a waste of money. $2,500 for the plates is what you're paying for. But the material is crap. You can't handle it like this. It's a WCW 93 belt. I guess they still sell these. I think I paid $250 or $230 for this belt. Of course, I took it, had some fun with it. I think I put a bunch of stars in the boxes and things to go along with the stars that are on the main plate. And I even took stars and put a WCW into the snap box for it. And of course it folds. It does everything I want because it's premium leather. So how much money is in one of these belts? Well, I got this in WWE shop, and I probably got, there's probably $250 to $260 in buying the belt and fees and whatever. And then the chocolate leather, I paid $230, I think, for the whole hide, and got 6 belts out of it. There's a few products and time involved, but you could say easily I only paid $40 or $50 for the leather, 40 or 50 for the leather, $250 for the belt, $300 in that thing. This is an Andre Dual Gold like that one. Got it on sale because the sale was too good not to get another one. I'll give this one away to somebody at some point. It comes on the fondue backing. And of course the same qualities apply. It's got the mirror finish. The fondue belt is just as nice as can be. Ironically, the fondue belt doesn't do all that rippling and everything, even though I've handled this a lot. I've handled it so much, one of the screws, isn't one of the screws? Must be the all gold belt. But one of the posts in the Andre belt has come apart. And that's one of the flaws that I will tell you. The fondue belts, over the course of time, where I've re-leathered them and handled them different times, their posts have stripped out a couple of different times on me, and so I just used JB Weld and put it back in place, but it's not a fun experience. Now, I also have and that belt right there, $229 for that Andre belt. It was on sale, same as I paid for the other one. And $250 here for the scratch logo. I bought this before they discontinued it. Of course, I've custom painted certain things, put it on the water buffalo. It's a great material. It's a great material. You can do what you want with it. It's form-fitting. It'll last for fucking ever. And short of, it's got a little bit of a clang, which I've never taken the time to work out. But if I wanted to just change the length of the screws just a little bit, then it would be just fine. It's been a phenomenal material. Like I said, if you color it different ways, by using the products, you can make it a little richer. You can make it shiny. Of course, it shines in the photos and everything anyway. And so it's been wonderful. People ask me all about certain belts. Some people don't like my choices of what material I put them on. And it's not their money. And it's not their office. But I have taken so many of these to corporate events or taking them to wrestling shows. The kids horseplay around with them. I've given them away to friends. Those are just the belts that are still present here. There's a gunmetal world title from Fondue downstairs on my air hockey table. And I think over the last 3 years I've given away a dual gold world title to a friend of mine, and an all gold to a friend in Florida, because his son is 9 and he's a huge fan. He takes it to the shows. I put their last name on it. Gave that same family a big eagle, a winged eagle, a blue universal, a red universal. Those were all fairly good quality for the prices that I paid, but I think I got 1 or 2 of those, use your word, aftermarket belts or whatever. They were $90 off of eBay. But his son wanted to backyard wrestle and horse around with him. That's a great price to mess around with the belts. A friend of mine in Georgia has our old Figures Inc. titles, whether it's the ECW, the Intercontinental, the WWF title, all that stuff. But I sent him some of those belts as well, like a Dome Globe, an Intercontinental, and some other tag team or something that he wanted from the NWA or USWA, whatever else I had. I thinned out my belt collection and gave the one people asked me about more than others. I had an NXT belt on water buffalo, and I gave it to a kid who had Down syndrome, or he has Down syndrome. He will his whole life, and they sent me videos of that, and he was just ecstatic to have that belt. And so I'm very happy to be in a situation where, we're in a time where you can get a hold of wrestling belts. When I grew up, all you had was the foam, the styrofoam. My best friend Derek in high school had the oldest replica, and one of the cooler things that I've ever seen, because now I've never seen another one of them. He had a WWWF title that had the belt buckle on the back. So it was like the Backlund belt, but it was in the back where it ended. It had the belt buckle on it. And it was a kid's size. It was probably a 36 or 40 waist. And I don't know where he told me he got that belt, but he had it long before I ever met him in the 90s. And I've never been able to come across many of them on the Google machine or social media. So I'm kind of curious about where he got that belt. and I've never really paid a whole lot of attention to anybody else talking about them. I've never seen it mentioned in the belt groups or anything. But when people ask me about durability, I've put all these that I've redone on premium material. It should last. It should last till I'm gone. It should last 25 to 50 years. I'm kind of hard on some of that stuff. Almost every week I'm taking a belt or a bunch of belts to work. My boss man, when we were a top store in the southeastern United States last month, he said, hey, we're going to take a picture with everybody. We got the GOAT Award. Can you bring belts in for everybody? And I was like, pretty sure I got you covered. So I have fun with that stuff. Now, do I see other people who they're constantly debating this logo versus that, if they're measuring like an inch difference on it. They're not fitting you for a suit, motherfucker. Like, who cares? Well, I want the closest belt to that. Listen, call somebody up and tell them to make you one of those belts. Call up Top Rope Belts will make you a fucking crumb rind. Call up Top Rope Belts or whoever, and they'll make you a belt. Tell them what you want. They make a very nice. They got a very nice fucking belt on their website. At least I think it's still on there for sale for like $1,700. And it's the crumb rind. I'm pretty sure it's like hand stitched and everything. You know, people knock the fondue belts, but the reality is that fondue makes not only these nice belts that they sell to all of us. They make the WWWF title is the fondue US title, and they're the official belt maker, to the best of my knowledge, of the NWA. Right? So people argue about the fondue big gold, which is just the NWA world title. I know it was made by somebody else, but they're the official belt makers of the NWA, or at least the current NWA title. So it's a fun argument that fondue makes the current NWA title, and to nullify their NWA, big gold belt is very short-sighted. But I watch people argue and spend like tens of thousands of dollars over the course of however much time, and they buy, they sell, they trade. It's not in my DNA to sell a belt. I give one away, or find a good home, whatever. But it's my collection, and I'm going to use the belts, put some miles on them, put some paint or some scratch or whatever. Not on purpose. You don't sit around and fuck the belts up, but it happens in the course of a lifetime. We get wrinkles and scars and scuffs. My Rangers jerseys from hockey season are in the back of my closet. And I have had many of those for 20 or 30 years. We played street hockey in them. My Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson and Michael Jordan basketball jerseys from the early 90s are still in my fucking closet. And we wore those to basketball practice and out in the pickup games or to church to shoot on the goal or whatever. It never occurred to me to put that shit behind glass and then act like it should be perfect till the end of time. That's not what the fuck it is. A lot of the artwork in my house came from somebody else giving it to me. And I don't know that any of it's worth anything in particular. There's a nice... Dempsey Essick is an artist around here, and he's known a little bit. And he did a painting that is on the Craver property. It's called Winter Crossing. Early Crossing. It's called Early Crossing. And it's got deer crossing in front of this tobacco barn, which is on the family land. We've been in the same county for 250 years. And my father owns that land at this point, and he's restored that tobacco barn. So that painting to me is sitting on the wall, and it's hung up, and it's not supposed to be pulled down and traded and passed around like a fucking deck of cards. I'm not dealing it out like, the King of Spades. But to take belts that you buy and put them up on the shelf and put them behind glass, I can't do it, man. I grew up as a person, we had to buy the styrofoam belts. Or I never made my own belt, but, Edge and a lot of people, you showed them, they had paper belts. The Hardy Boys and so forth. Because that's what they needed the belts for, to have the matches and have the belts. We went to all the fall brawls that were in Winston-Salem. The 99, the King of the Ring was in Greensboro, and Unforgiven was in Charlotte, and then SummerSlam was here the next year. And I'm on SummerSlam with the goddamn, Figures Inc. world title right behind the announcers. So much so that at one point that big biker looking, some of y'all might know his name, that big biker looking head of security for WWE came over when I wasn't on camera, and the camera red light wasn't on us. He just kind of leaned over and he said, "Hey." And I was like, "Hey?" And he's like, "If you put that belt up again, we're taking it." And I was like, "Oh, all right then. That's not my belt. It belongs to a buddy of mine." So we came to an understanding. Belts have been a great thing, though. I mean, it symbolizes certain things to different people. And so to take them to work and let people handle them. When I worked in the back of kitchens and I took a belt to work, one of my managers, he would, he'd take the belt and throw it over his shoulder. And he'd walk around the kitchen. "You, run that food. You, refill the ice. Get to it, bitch." We had so much fun. The cooks would come over and they'd wipe their hands off and, "Hey, you take a picture for me?" And they'd pull out their phones that we had back then. I mean, this was probably 10 years ago. And they'd put on the belt and they might do something. They might have a symbol or whatever. And they enjoyed the belts as like we enjoyed the belts, like photo op. And if I'd have belts to hand out to everybody, I would have loved to have done that. I've offered many of my friends a chance to take some of these titles off my hands, and they're like, "No, those are your belts." And the reality is, some of them have kids; they don't have room in their home. They don't want to display them. They don't want to mess them up. And I'm like, well, fuck. That's the whole thing to me, is to have the belts to have fun with them. It's like having action figures that you don't play with, or having a PlayStation that's fucking sitting in a box or in a showcase or something. I can't fathom that shit. I'm in the middle of my office and I'm having a cigarillo and, there's whatever else in here where I eat and have electronics and everything else. I'm not concerned that at some point there's going to be this, awakening and somebody's going to call me up and say, "Hey, can I buy all your belts for top dollar in top condition?" I'm not that guy. I'm not going to sell you a belt. And they're probably not going to be in unused whatever condition. So you guys that are out there and you buy a belt and it comes with a little crease in it or whatever, those WWE belts are not very durable, to be quite honest. They're going to have ripples in the leather, whereas mine don't. They just don't. And it's because of the quality of the material, and it's nothing more than that. And I wish that people had, to me the word is personality, you could use the word dignity, but I wish people had a better sense of self about the way that they talk to other people who are like in the same group of consumers that they are. Because at the end of the day, if you pay $600 for the belt that I paid fucking $250 for, you're changing the perception of the seller. So when WWE sells out a fucking stadium at $1,000 a ticket, they're not going to drop the prices next time. No more than the guy who hires somebody for $750 is not going to hire the next guy for $850. Not until he has to. Not until that job stays vacant long enough. Supply and demand, and it's very, very simple. But folks will go out there and they buy a belt and then they think they can resell it for the same fuck price, 90% of what they paid, whatever. Kept it in it's mint condition, it's never been handled, it's only been displayed, it's still in the bag. What the fuck? Oh my God. Did you buy shoes and leave them in the box and not wear them? Are you one of these cocksuckers who would buy special shoes? I don't know, would you sit home and sniff the shoes? Put them on. We wore our shoes to basketball practice. Wore those cocksuckers out. We got cars with miles on them. Oh, not me. I got a car that's never been driven. Oh, God damn, has your wife never been fucked? I don't even understand this premise. So, the celibacy, abstinence, this reduction of fun, like these people are their own glass ceiling to adventure. It's just so strange to me. There's a bit that Doug Stanhope does on his 2007 No Refunds tour. I'm going to set these belts down. And Doug Stanhope is talking about something that never came to be, about piss testing for adrenaline. Well, those belts make a lot of noise when they slap something. I guess that's what real fucking leather sounds like. So Doug Stanhope has this bit. He's talking about how I think like he's gonna hype up how they're gonna start piss testing for adrenaline in the workplace. Are you having too much fun on the weekends? Are we not fun enough for you with the Verizon Wireless? But it feels that way with these with these cocksuckers that I see that buy and sell belts, and it's a portion of the audience, because there's an overwhelming number of people I see at these signings, the YouTube videos, the reels, the otherwise, who they just buy the belts from overseas. They buy them from Amazon, they buy them from eBay, they get them from a foreign country, or as some people else might say, they're unofficial, they're unlicensed. But those copies of the belts are cheap to those people. They can carry them wherever they want. They don't have as many dollars in them, and they feel good with those belts. And they would be judged in a lot of these other places with, oh, it's not official, it's not real, But if you're fucking, running around driving a Kia, to me, you just got a copycat car. It's an aversion to something else. It is the Walmart brand of cars when it comes to the way that I look at that stuff. They copy the model of the style, the body, the model of a Mercedes and make it like this, and a different car and make it like that. Whereas people argue about how if you have a Reggie Parks belt, or if one of these belts that is commissioned or it's been made by a belt maker, and it may be stamped a certain way, it may have logos on it, that if you took that belt, or this is my litmus test or whatever you want to call it, that if you laid the Reggie belt down on the table next to one of the classic Shields belt or Real Art or whatever, versus the WWE belt, and said, which one of these costs 20 times more than the others, or 400 times, whatever. I guess, is that true? Let's see, the WWE belt now is valued at like is it $550 for a Winged Eagle? I didn't pay that. I think I bought the one for my friend at $250. So if you're selling, if you think a Reggie belt is valued at $5,000, it's 20 times higher. So if you lay out a Reggie belt and a classic Shields and then a WWE shop belt, and you kind of look at them and go, oh yeah. All right, now what would you estimate the value of these belts to be? Well, and it's like they're on the little antique roadshow. The thing to me is, you may be such a pretentious motherfucker that you can tell people what other people would value the belts or pay for the belts. There's going to be the guy who's sitting in the stands going, hey, it's only worth what someone will pay for it. That's what my father said when I showed him baseball card values in the 90s. And I agree with both sides of it. It's a false dilemma to say one is, the absolute. So if you lay out a really nice belt made by Mr. Parks versus this versus that, I don't think anybody's going to tell you that one of them is worth 20 times more than the other. I think you're going to end up in one of those Price is Right situations. This many $100, this many. What would you be willing to pay? I don't know. I wouldn't buy one of those belts. Right. And if you're going to have a belt, a lot of us have enough humility to know that if you got a belt, you're pretty goddamn lucky. Every belt now from WWE Shop, the $600 belts, that's more than we put into 4 belts when we first bought them. And everybody thinks those figure-zinc belts are just so goddamn special. They're not. They're thinner. They're made of material that it flaws over the course of time, especially when you're hitting each other in the head with them and throwing them in the grass and everything else while you're having your backyard wrestling matches. But this idea that people can't do what the fuck they want. I mean, I've seen people where they restone and they put spinner belts on all kinds of different colors and things like that. I think that's wonderful. If that's what you want to do, then have fun with it. When I put something on whatever material and color and stamp it the way I want to. It's not because I am ever planning to resell it or I give a good goddamn what anybody else thinks. It's what I think is. When I make that decision, I don't have as much money, number one, in the plates. Two, I'm doing all the work any fucking way. So even with the material, I have less money in it than you probably do. And three, the biggest thing to me is it's now a story that I get to tell because I had a hand in however it turned out. And you may look at it and say, well, you know, it's kind of like you bought a Cadillac, put a spoiler on it, and fucked it all up. It's mine. Guess what? As Eddie Murphy's getting ready to steal the house that he's going to stay in Beverly Hills Cop 2, he walks over to the foreman and he's going over the blueprints with him. And he says, these are the old plans! You don't have to do plans, these are the old plans! This house is supposed to be round, no right angles. And the guy's like, what? No right angles? This house is going to be round as a donut. And of course, Eddie Murphy tells him, he's people are rich. They want to live in a donut, let them live in a donut. And that's just what I look at. If I come across a belt for $200 or $100 or whatever, a lot of times I'm going to buy that belt and give it away. I've done that for many things. As I was going through the belts, I know I've come to think about this while I was talking. There's several that I missed. I came across a scratch logo of the WWE Big Eagle. It was on the original black. It's the version 2 now, but the original one I came across from somebody for $200, and it was in great condition. Had him ship it straight to my buddy last year. So in 2022, I gave him a winged eagle for his birthday, then a Bruno belt for the next birthday, and then the scratch logo for the next birthday. So that was 22, 23, 24. I haven't thought a lot about whether I'll get him something for 25. But there's a good chance I may box something up, write something really nice, send off a belt that's in this room, that's been in this video. Who knows? He watches these, so who knows? But have fun with your fucking belts. And if you've got a goddamn ego and some smart, snippy thing, and that's all they are, they're snippy, they're short as their dicks. These fucking, oh, that was too long, I didn't read it, or look at this guy, he doesn't like this aspect, or, he's too, like I'm too invested and I put too much thought into something. These motherfuckers are paying tens of thousands of dollars for belts. I've got very little in my collection by comparison. Who cares more? You've got a significantly greater, an exponentially higher investment, and somehow I am in deeper than you are. Yeah, let's do the math on that. I don't think you know much about economics. It's so funny to me to like just even the entertaining part is to be a people watcher, as George Carlin is in his Archive of American Television interview. He says, if you're born into this world, you're born into the freak show, and if you're born into America, you're born in the front row. And some of us get notebooks and we get to keep notes and tell everybody about our stories. And that's kind of what I do. I get into the group, and there's certain things I have to offer, and I can give you feedback. I can review a belt for you. I can tell you some ways to save money and some shortcuts about a lot of things. But to watch the way that folks act, like, it makes me so much more thankful about how I was raised and where I was raised, because it's a tremendous blessing that I will speak my mind and I'll point out that here is evidence, and people will have something to say that doesn't have anything to do with an evidence or counterpoint or anything else. It's just feelings, and that to me is the satisfaction of, it's about championship belts. Well, you just forfeited. Guess who's still the champ? We'll see if I make another video. I'm in the point in my life where I said I wasn't going to buy any more belts, but I came across that Fondue U.S. title for $200, and I was not giving that up. When I saw that belt come out with the basket weave that was on it and everything else for the price that they had, I wasn't going to buy it. But once somebody opened that door, I grabbed one. I'm very happy I did. But I'm constantly thinking about, I've got a list that sits in my filing cabinet over there as to where the belts will end up if anything happens to me, or if I just decide one day I'm going to spend fucking $250 and I'm going to ship all this shit somewhere else. I don't want nothing in return. We'll see. But for now, this is the status of my collection of different colors, of different textures, and numbers. I like the fact that I bought the belts when I did. I don't necessarily feel fortunate, because if people were paying attention in school today, they would stop buying. They'd slow down the machine and make the WWE drop the prices. They would deliver a blow to their trends. And so when you interrupt that and you boycott or you just don't buy, they have too much supply and not enough demand, and they'll have to drop the prices. That will happen. Just stop fucking going. They cancel shows when people don't buy tickets. Do it to the belts. Anyway, for those who are watching, I appreciate your time. For those who've been the inspiration for some of this, Daddy appreciates your submission.